Hey everybody, Eric for President here with your weekly VR news that you missed. Our first story today, we need to talk about the New York Times article that of course talks about VR not being mainstream still. However, it did focus on the Oculus Go, which has caused a bit of a divide in the VR community. Titled, "This Should Be VR's Moment, Why Is It Still So Niche?" by Kevin Roos. I want to highlight just a couple passages that I think have the biggest impact on why people are so upset about this. He does bring up a valid point here where he says his first task was tracking down a virtual reality headset, which turned out to be surprisingly hard, with systems like the Oculus Quest and PlayStation VR being sold out for months online, and when looked, newer models on eBay for hundreds of dollars above their asking price. But you can also see here he did snag an Oculus Go. Of course, this is an extremely valid concern. At no other point in history would VR be more useful right now, yet it is harder than ever to get one, especially any of the Oculus product lines, and that's why he got the Oculus Go, so I understand why he used it, but basing an entire article off that has ruffled some feathers. He does admit to having experience with VR headsets, testing maybe a dozen VR headsets ranging from cheap Google Cardboard models to ultra high-end gaming rigs, and every time he found himself excited by the promise of futuristic VR and then disappointed by the inevitable letdown of experiencing the actual limited systems. Now, if you're familiar with the content creator Sadly It's Bradley, he made a video a while ago on the Oculus Go during the holiday period, and by the way, he did actually make a Half-Life Alyx mod for an entirely new level. Please go check that out, it is terrific and he worked his ass off for it. However, back in the holidays when the Oculus Go was at an extremely discounted rate, he has no love lost for the fact that he thinks it's hurting VR perceptions for a lot of people who got into VR with the Oculus Go and then realized it wasn't the experience that they wanted. I have to agree with his stance. However, there are a lot of people who do love the Go and hope it stays, or at least hopes a Go 2, which there are rumors of. However, I'll leave that there. What are your opinions on the Oculus Go? Does it hurt VR similar to what this article did, or is it just another option of added benefits? But speaking of great VR experiences, the Oculus Quest is really hitting its stride lately, and peak VR gaming has pretty much arrived on it with two titles coming to the Oculus Quest store very soon. The first one, of course, being Echo VR, specifically Echo Arena for the Oculus Quest. The open beta is coming May 5th. They are well ahead of schedule, and it's a game that if you're not going to play, you are missing out on Oculus Quest peak gaming, hands down. Echo VR is a team-based competitive experience split into two modes, with Echo Arena being on the Oculus Quest. It's a 0G sports tournament where two teams of four face off, scoring goals while boosting, gliding, and punching opponents out of the way. For those who haven't been able to experience any of the closed alpha stages or the closed beta, I highly encourage you to jump onto the open beta of Echo VR. Now, Echo VR not only is probably the most polished, smooth, best game coming to the Oculus Quest, but it's the first one that has, in my opinion, the ability to build a community. If you've been playing Oculus Quest games for a while, there are some terrific titles, but not ones that a community has really risen around, other than maybe Pavlov, and built something special. And with Echo VR, I think this is going to be the #1 community-driven game that people form great friendships, great bonds, and it's going to be the apex Oculus Quest experience. Also for the Oculus Quest though, Hyperdash, another online multiplayer game that was originally sideloaded via their Discord, is now officially on SideQuest with PCVR crossplay support, and again, this is Apex Oculus Quest gaming. Developed by Triangle Factory, Hyperdash is an arena-based multiplayer shooter that imagines its VR deathmatches as televised events. The game utilizes a dash-based movement scheme, and you can even grind on rails for stylish shots at your opponents. Ever since Hyperdash came out in its alpha, it is now at Alpha 5, it has been hands down the most polished alpha from the first day I've ever seen, and it's obviously going to be a hit when it releases on the Oculus Quest store, and that's what we need to congratulate it on, because it is going to be officially on SideQuest now and has already been accepted to the Oculus Quest store. They are fine-tuning the details. Another quality port that started in grassroots campaigns on SideQuest making to the Oculus store. That's what I like to see, and these are just two peak VR gaming moments for the Oculus Quest. Now, in unfortunate news, we do need to talk about some massive layoffs happening in the AR scene. AR is something that we don't talk about too much, augmented reality, but I'm becoming more and more of a convert every time I see little snippets of what augmented reality can provide. I think there's a lot of practical uses in my day-to-day life that I would really like to see happen, but unfortunately that's not going to happen with Magic Leap. First reported on in Bloomberg, Magic Leap cuts half of its jobs in a major restructuring, which will affect about 1,000 employees. Straight from the CEO, while our leadership team, board, and investors still believe in the long-term potential of our IP, the near-term revenue opportunities are currently concentrated on the enterprise side. Now, Magic Leap, for those who don't know, has had a long history of issues. It really has never pinpointed its target audience, which I always thought was very interesting. I have no idea who they have been selling to. However, it is disappointing anytime a business fails, and I am extremely saddened by the loss of over 1,000 jobs at the company. A lot of talented people are part of that company and deserve, and I hope find work in other companies as well. However, just days after these massive layoffs, there was even more bad news with some battery issues with the current round of Magic Leaps out there. According to Ian Hamilton of Upload VR, Magic Leap sent owners of its AR headsets a warning that they need to update their devices due to an issue related to the battery. The email to developers does warn of a critical update needed, and I do quote here that the batteries do have extremely isolated incidences where it may expand or swell when plugged into a charger continuously for an extended period of time. The processor pack for Magic Leap is called a light pack and is worn on the body during use. This is extremely scary. I cannot underplay that. Whenever I think about using the Oculus Quest and putting a VR headset on top of my head that has a battery pack inside it, well, whether it's founded or unfounded, the fear of exploding batteries ever since Samsung started blowing up has been a fear of mine, and it's extremely concerning to see that Magic Leap customers could have this possibility with exploding batteries on the person. Again, I hate giving bad news for companies. I wish the best for Magic Leap and AR, and I hope all employees there find employment and other opportunities. In really positive and really uplifting news, I want to talk about Puzzling Places, a new game out on SideQuest. It is an amazing story about someone who started out on Reddit, just bringing up a few things, getting a lot of support and creating a flame for his passion that ultimately led to Valve reaching out to him, sending him a Vive dev kit, and a passion project is now for you on SideQuest. Puzzling Places is a prototype of a game where you build piece by piece a jigsaw puzzle of beautiful 3D models from around the world. Now, they're in early development of this, so they're sharing a 98 piece puzzle for you to finish, which is one of the harder puzzles they have so far. I love supporting things like this that start in very small communities, and with encouragement and aid, they just turn into something wonderful. And in a time right now where a lot of people are searching for things to do and doing things like jigsaw puzzles IRL, it's awesome to see the VR community find a way to give the VR spin to an otherwise sometimes boring activity, building a jigsaw puzzle. This experience is very difficult, it's very fun, it will make you use your brain, and if you haven't checked it out, please do. Now for our final story, and I did save this one for last because I know I'll get some flack for it, I want to revisit Supernatural VR and bring up a discussion around reviews of this game and what you should and should not be doing in reviews, although of course that's going to be your personal preference. I'd like to put my input on this. Supernatural VR, for those who have not played it or heard about it yet, is a VR workout game very similar to Beat Saber, where you have a white bat and a black bat hitting different colored balloons in the direction while also squatting into various triangle positions. The game features real-life personal trainers and some of the most popular music around the world, but of course comes with that $19 tag each month for a subscription fee. Now, if you scan the reviews, you see a lot of mixed bags. It's currently sitting at about a 3-star on the Oculus Quest store. However, you'll see tons of 1-star reviews just saying they haven't even played the game, and it's because of the subscription model that they don't want to see another Beat Saber clone. Now, on one side, I fully understand it and I get it. At this point in time in the VR scene, I think we are well beyond more Beat Saber-esque games. We are above wave shooters at this point, and innovation needs to happen in the VR space. We're just over the games that we were playing 2, 3, 4 years ago. However, at the same time, this game is doing the best it can, and I did do a review on it. You can check that out on my channel. I have already canceled my subscription. It is not for me. However, from a workout perspective, it's a pretty good game. I wouldn't give it 5 stars. If I was okay with paying the money, I'd give it 3. I think 3 is a solid rating for it. But what I urge the VR community to do, again, this is just my personal take on it. You may have a differing opinion, but I think we're done with the review bombs. Please don't give this game a 1-star review if you have not played it. In fact, I don't think you should review this game at all if you haven't played it. I also don't think you should be giving it a 1-star review solely because of the subscription fee. Now, that can heavily factor into your review, but I think overall, if I'm going to give this game a review, it is a 3 out of 5, and if you have some spare cash, it may be worth it for you. But that's just a little vent on review bombing games. That is going to be it for today, though. I'll see you on the next one, everybody. Bang.